When a new guy talks about a future with you, how do you know if it's real or shit? The key is to look at whether or not he's doing it to get high on the fantasy. If it's a high fantasy and he's looking for a reaction, likely shit. If it's calm and stable, he means it.
So I'm getting a lot of people DMing me, asking me how long does it take for a man to know if he wants to marry a woman. Me personally, I don't think it takes more than 6 months. I really don't think it takes more than 90 days. He knows if he wants you around. He knows if he can't live without you. He knows if you're the best thing to happen in his life. And men that usually know this, they don't play no games. They're putting the ring on it ASAP. They want you off of themselves. They can't even stand the thought of somebody having you, somebody entertaining you, somebody making you laugh, somebody making you come. So in order to lock that down, they're not going to play with that at all. If you've been dealing with somebody for years and years in and you haven't got the ring, and fuck the ring, because a ring means nothing. I know plenty of people that's engaged. But if that man ain't got on bending knee and rushed you down to the courthouse, rushed you down to the altar, if he ain't married you all 3 ways Islamically, through the courts and jumped over the broom, then he's wasting your time. Please don't let that man get your good years. Straight up, I am.
When a guy makes jokes about marrying you in the early conversation stages, it shows that very far from that, he actually doesn't take you very seriously. So now I can hear all the comments saying that, oh, my husband made a joke about marrying me on the first date and 20 years later, here we are, but blah, blah, blah. Of course that does happen, but in general, guys who make jokes about girls being the one or saying they've got to go and buy a ring or they want to get married, they're saying that to multiple girls. It's part of their little routine of flirty banter, and the fact that he's saying it to you just means that he'd like to sleep with you, like he would every other attractive girl he speaks to. So really, all he is actually doing is alluding to the idea of you and him having sex very soon. Because after all, what is the primary activity that defines a couple? Intercourse. And the opposite to the social convention of a lifelong partnership and friendship, which is marriage. Peace.
More ways that you can tell that a guy is not going to pursue you in something serious. Number one is the more effort that you put in, it seems like he pushes back and he puts in less effort. Any confident guy that wants to pursue you is going to match that same energy and match that same effort. A second way for you to gauge on how serious he is about pursuing you and that relationship is by the amount of effort that he puts in to actually see you and hang out with you. Even if this guy is the busiest dude on the planet, he's going to figure out a way to see you every single week. So if he's not even making an active effort to actually plan and schedule in dates or time to hang out with you, it's probably not something that he is seriously looking to pursue. And lastly, this is the easiest telling sign, is if he is actively going out of his way to plan and prepare really cute dates for you guys. Now, I always say that if a guy is actively pursuing you and he is really into you, he's going to plan dates that are revolved around your hobbies and your interests. So if you're someone that loves the mountains, he's probably going to plan a date around hiking or something revolved around that interest of yours. And for those of you still here, if he's asking you only on dates that are after 9 p.m., it's not like
these things, ladies. He is not going to commit to you. He's definitely not going to marry you. He's not going to ask you to marry him. All right. So listen up, ladies. Pay attention. Number one, if you feel like you are oftentimes the one that's putting in the most work in the relationship, you put in the most effort and it's not being reciprocated from him. All right. That's because he has attention elsewhere. You know what I mean? He's talking to other women. He's probably dealing with other women. And, you know, he's weighing his options out. He's not taking his relationship serious with you. He doesn't see himself in a fully committed relationship with you down the line to take the next step. Number two, if you are the one who is oftentimes hinting at marriage or wanting to get married or engaged, and when you bring up that topic of wanting to get married, he oftentimes brushes it off and, like, you know what I mean, changes the subject. You know what I mean? He don't really stay on the topic. He moves on from that topic. It's because he doesn't see himself being with you in that next step. And number three, listen, last but certainly not least, you are the one who proposes to him, or, you know, to light fire in him to propose you, or like hints at that idea. Any of those things, yo, he's not gonna marry you. He should be the one to ask you.
If you're wondering, will he ever marry me? Am I wasting my time? Does this man see a future with me? My sister, all I'll say is this. If a man really, truly wanted to marry you, he would. In many cultures and societies, men have typically been expected to pursue women or be initiators of romantic relationships between a man and a woman. There is no man on planet Earth, no man that does not know or have a general idea concerning the type of woman he wants to settle down with. With that being said, these are 3 obvious signs that a man has zero interest in marrying you whatsoever. Number 1, you two have been together for years, eons. If you've been with a man for years to the point you start to ask yourself, will this man ever propose? Something is wrong. You've been with someone for 5 years, 6, 7 years. Let's reason together. Even you ask yourself this question. What is it in 5 years plus has this man not seen or is waiting to see to know whether or not he can marry me? If you don't know, let me tell you, a man can have one conversation with a woman, just one, and based off that interaction with a woman, know whether or not he can potentially marry her. If the answer is yes, within 6 to 9 months of you talking to this guy, he'll begin to start making preparations and doing all the things that are necessary for the wedding to take place. You've been girlfriend for 5 years. He's not even engaged you. Something is wrong. Number 2, he hasn't introduced you to his family or friends. Let me ask you something. The person that you're dating, no, let me tell you, a man
Ask me, how do I get a man to settle down with me? How do I get a guy to commit to me? And the first thing you got to ask yourself here is you've got to be very accountable, be critical with yourself, and ask yourself, are you worth settling down for? I'm not attacking you, but I want you to really ask yourself this question. Are you displaying the traits of a wife? Are you going out? Are you partying? Are you out and about here? Because no man is going to want to really lock down with that. No high quality guy is going to lock down with that. Are you letting him lead? Are you submissive? Are you coachable? Are you respectful? Men don't view love as love. Men view respect as love. You've got to understand this. So if the answer to this question is yes, then you've got to also understand that men have a different mechanism for settling down. Men need to feel secure and stable, and they want to really have that financial stability before they settle down with a woman. And so that clock might be different for different people. So women typically have a biological clock, while men have a financial clock. And a man can be financially stable at 25, he can be financially stable at 55. It just varies, right? And you really have to find the man that makes sense for your lifestyle. And if he's not on a path to kind of create that, then it's something that you have to be kind of cautious of. And when I mean financial stability, it doesn't mean that he has to make 8 figures, 9 figures, 7 figures. It could just mean that he's able to take care of himself and you in a very reasonable lifestyle. Moving on from there, the big thing I'll tell you is that men have to have a mindset of purpose and legacy. And these are the questions that you should be asking him in the first interactions in itself. You want to make sure that the man that you're talking to has a goal, has a purpose, and wants to leave a legacy. Okay, that's another thing. If a man has a purpose and legacy, he's going to be more likely to settle down because he wants a woman to create that legacy for him. He wants a woman to help him reach his purpose. If a woman comes into a man's life and she supports him, it's going to dramatically accelerate his growth. It's going to help him in so many ways. And a big thing I'll say on top of this is his moral and ethical values. I think a lot of men that are very religious want to settle down because it's kind of ingrained in them at a young age to find a wife and to settle down because it's positive for the community, it's positive for the culture, and it's something that they have as a life goal and a obstacle that they want to conquer. So many religious men are very, very prone to settling down at a very young age. So I think a lot of women, especially when they get to about 30 years old, they start to find out that they want to settle down and they start to become very religious because they find out that a lot of men that want to settle down are religious, and it's just how the numbers work. Let me say this. Men are still settling down, men are still marrying, and especially in the Western world, men are still marrying at the same rates. They're just marrying women outside of the culture because those women are a lot more submissive, they're a lot more coachable, and they respect a man a lot more. They're raised to be wives from day one. And you hear this like passport bros and all this stuff. It really does happen. Men are willing to go overseas and find a wife and marry her and bring her back, or just live there in itself. And because they want that peace, they want that stability, they want a woman that's not gonna argue with them. And I'll tell you this, I've talked to a lot of these guys, they'll tell me like the worst days with some of the women that they meet overseas are better than the best days that they've had with their wives in the Western world. And it's crazy to hear that. I think in today's society, we're raised to kind of be argumentative. We're not raised to really adopt these traditional roles of marriage and, being partnerships. We look at partnership as a benefit for both parties, but the reality is it's a benefit for you first.
Ladies, I'm going to be honest with you, and I'm probably breaking bro code by even sharing this, but I have to be honest. As a man, I'm speaking as a man here, we know very early on, what our intentions are for you. That means after date 1, date 2, we know if you're wife material, girlfriend material, and we're hunters. So we go after what we want. We will not waste time. If we want you, we will do what we have to do to get you, to have you. because we're men. That's what we do. If he's stringing you along, ladies, if it's been months and he hasn't committed to you, he's not calling you his girlfriend, or if it's been years and he hasn't proposed to you, it's because he doesn't want you like that. I'm telling you right now, do not waste your time on men like that, because we will do whatever you allow us to do. And if you allow us to string you along, to play with you, that's exactly what we will do. So if you want a future, if you want a family, then you need to date men who have good intentions for you, who want the same things, who have the same values, because once again, we will play with you if you let us play with you.
When a new guy talks about a future with you, how do you know if it's real or shit? The key is to look at whether or not he's doing it to get high on the fantasy. If it's a high fantasy and he's looking for a reaction, likely shit. If it's calm and stable, he means it.
So I'm getting a lot of people DMing me, asking me how long does it take for a man to know if he wants to marry a woman. Me personally, I don't think it takes more than 6 months. I really don't think it takes more than 90 days. He knows if he wants you around. He knows if he can't live without you. He knows if you're the best thing to happen in his life. And men that usually know this, they don't play no games. They're putting the ring.
It could be obsession or butterflies in the stomach, in the tummy.
The ring on it ASAP. They want you off of themselves. They can't even stand the thought of somebody having you, somebody entertaining you, somebody making you laugh, somebody making you come. So in order to lock that down, they're not going to play with that at all. If you've been dealing with somebody for years and years in and you haven't got the ring, and fuck the ring, because a ring means nothing. I know plenty of people that's engaged. But if that man ain't got on bending knee and rushed you down to the courthouse, rushed you down to the altar, if he ain't married you all 3 ways Islamically, through the courts and jumped over the broom, then he's wasting your time. Please don't let that man get your good years. Straight up, I am.
When a guy makes jokes about marrying you in the early conversation stages, it shows that very far from that, he actually doesn't take you very seriously. So now I can hear all the comments saying that, oh, my husband made a joke about marrying me on the first date and 20 years later, here we are, but blah, blah, blah. Of course that does happen, but in general, guys who make jokes about girls being the one, or saying they've got to go and buy a ring, or they want to get married, they're saying that to multiple girls. It's part of their little routine of flirty banter, and the fact that he's saying it to you just means that he'd like to sleep with you, like he would every other attractive girl he speaks to. So really, all he is actually doing is alluding to the idea of you and him having sex very soon. Because after all, what is the primary activity that defines a couple? Intercourse. And the opposite to the social convention of a lifelong partnership and friendship, which is marriage. Peace.
Yeah, he's right. And I've heard this because I had a discussion. I always, when I have this kind of topics, I always try to get like perspective of the men that I know. And I asked most men, they said the men go when a man approaches a woman. If a man approaches a woman, they're coming to a woman because they want to have intercourse. Like the main goal is to have intercourse. And when they say marriage, the woman takes them more seriously. And it is quicker and easier for them to get in between her legs, right? So ladies, we still have to be careful. Of course, some of the points that the guys are saying, yeah, can be right, could be right? But we also have to be cautious, because some guys use the term marriage, or they come with marriage because they want to get down with you as quick as possible. And they might be saying that to many other pretty ladies, many other girls. They might be saying the same thing to many other girls. So we should be really careful, because I've seen that so many women, even though we are in 2024 and it's more of a modern time, there are still many women who are still desperate to get married. Like they feel that marriage is the ultimate profession of love that a man can do to a woman. Like if a man marries you, or he says that he wants to marry you, then that's it. You are like, he loves you to the moon and back. But so many times, oftentimes, men use marriage. I want to marry you. You are the love of my life. I want to spend the rest of my life with you, because they want to get down with you as soon as possible. And as soon as they get down with you, they ghost you, or they don't want anything serious with you anymore. So he is so right. I had been looking for a slide like this one. I had been looking for a reaction like this one. Finally, I got to the reaction because I think I'm the only one who has been talking about how we still have to be cautious, because someone telling you that they want to get married to you doesn't mean that they truly love you and that they truly want to be exclusive just to you, you know?
More ways that you can tell that a guy is not going to pursue you in something serious. Number one is the more effort that you put in, it seems like he pushes back and he puts in less effort. Any confident guy that wants to pursue you is going to match that same energy and match that same effort. A second way for you to gauge on how serious he is about pursuing you and that relationship is by the amount of effort that he puts in to actually see you and hang out with you. Even if this guy is the busiest dude on the planet, he's going to figure out a way to see you every single week. So if he's not even making an active effort to actually plan and schedule in dates or time to hang out with you, it's probably not something that he is seriously looking to pursue. And lastly, this is the easiest telling sign, is if he is actively going out of his way to plan and prepare really cute dates for you guys. Now, I always say that if a guy is actively pursuing you and he is really into you, he's going to plan dates that are revolved around your hobbies and your interests. So if you're someone that loves the mountains, he's probably going to plan a date around hiking or something revolved around that interest of yours. And for those of you still here, if he's asking you only on dates that are after 9 p.m., it's not.
Okay, I just want to add here that he talked about matching your energy. Like if you're doing things and he's like, he feels like you're pushing him away, then he's not the one for you. But if you're doing things and he's trying to match the energy, then that's the right guy for you. But he talked about planning dates, like the guy has to clear his schedule and plan the dates. But we are in modern times, and women, so many females are into like they're planning dates on their own. They're going to solo dates. So they already know these luxurious, classy spots in the town and all that. So if the lady also, if you as a lady can also plan a date, then that's fine. And if he's comfortable with you planning a date, then it's super fine. Because, I mean, like I said, most females are more conscious and of what they want now. So they already know the spots and all the places that they want to go to. And maybe they've already been there, but they want their significant other or their partner to have that experience as well. So I think we should shift this duty of planning a date from just the man to also the woman, because like if a woman can plan a date, then the man should enjoy the date, and if the man can plan the date, the woman should enjoy the date. But if both of them can plan the date, that's a plus for the relationship, isn't it? And yeah, he made this point about if he always wants to see you after 9 p.m., run for your life, because you're not a ghost. Why does he only want to see you when places are dark, like in darkness? He doesn't want other people to see you with him. He might be cheating with someone else, or he might be someone who is not so proud of dating you. So, ladies, be cautious. You cannot date, like there's a common Yoruba saying that a mosquito only comes in the night. And if someone is trying to date you just in the night, want to see you only after dark, then you're probably a mosquito. Oh my God.
These things, ladies, he is not going to commit to you. He's definitely not going to marry you. He's not going to ask you to marry him. All right. So, listen up, ladies. Pay attention. Number one, if you feel like you are oftentimes the one that's putting in the most work in the relationship, you put in the most effort, and it's not being reciprocated from him. All right? That's because he has attention elsewhere. You know what I mean? He's talking to other women. He's probably dealing with other women. And, you know, he's weighing his options out. He's not taking his relationship serious with you. He doesn't see himself in a fully committed relationship with you down the line to take the next step. Number two, if you are the one who is oftentimes hinting at marriage or wanting to get married or engaged, and when you bring up that topic of wanting to get married, he oftentimes brushes it off and, like, you know what I mean, changes the subject. You know what I mean? He don't really stay on the topic. He moves on from that topic. It's because he doesn't see himself being with you in that next step. And number 3, listen, last but certainly not least, you are the one who proposes to him, or, you know, to light fire in him to propose you, or like hints at that idea. Any of those things, yo, he's not gonna marry you. He should be the one to ask you.
Like, if you're the one who is putting a lot of effort, you're the one who asked him out, or you proposed to him, he's not gonna be committed to you. Even if he gets married to you, he's never gonna be committed. Men like to do the chasing because naturally men are hunters. Men are designed to hunt. Men are designed to pursue. They want to pursue because they want to have that. They want to feel. Men want to, they put more value in what they pursue, you know, because if you are the one who is pursuing them, it's strange, and they'll be like, why is she pursuing me? This is not how it's supposed to be. I need to put in more effort to do this, but why is she making it so easy for me? And they're gonna not be serious with you. They are never gonna be serious with you, and that's it, you know. So let the man pursue, let the man chase you, because my lady, you are designed to be in your feminine, to bask in your feminine energy, in your femininity, and let the man pursue you, sweep you off your feet, and treat you like the angel that you are.
If you're wondering, will he ever marry me? Am I wasting my time? Does this man see a future with me? My sister, all I'll say is this. If a man really, truly wanted to marry you, he would. In many cultures and societies, men have typically been expected to pursue women or be initiators of romantic relationships between a man and a woman. There is no man on planet Earth, no man that does not know or have a general idea concerning the type of woman he wants to settle down with. With that being said, these are 3 obvious signs that a man has zero interest in marrying you whatsoever. Number 1, you two have been together for years, eons. If you've been with a man for years to the point you start to ask yourself, will this man ever propose? Something is wrong. You've been with someone for 5 years, 6, 7 years. Let's reason together. Even you ask yourself this question. What is it in 5 years plus has this man not seen or is waiting to see to know whether or not he can marry me? If you don't know, let me tell you, a man can have one conversation with a woman, just one, and based off that interaction with a woman, know whether or not he can potentially marry her. If the answer is yes, within 6 to 9 months of you talking to this guy, he'll begin to start making preparations and doing all the things that are necessary for the wedding to take place. You've been girlfriend for 5 years. He's not even engaged you. Something is wrong. Number 2, he hasn't introduced you to his family or friends. Let me ask you something. The person that you're dating, let me tell you, a man...
And I just want to add here that in most cases, to confirm this, you see that even if a guy has been with a girl for 5, 6 years, 10 years, immediately he breaks off with this lady that he has been with for this lengthy period of time. He goes on to marry a lady that he might have spent just 2 months, 3 months, 6 months with. He goes to marry them like on the go. But he has been with you. He has wasted your time for that length of time, and he doesn't really want to be with you. So you should know as a lady in the beginning of the relationship if this guy wants to be with you long term. You will find out. It doesn't take more than a year, let's say a year or 2. It doesn't take that because sometimes some guys are not financially viable to be married to you, because marriage also entails finance. You need to pay for food, you need to put shelter over your heads, you need to put clothes on your back, you need money. So if the guy is not financially viable or stable, he's not gonna want to get married to you. But you will also know, even at that point in time, that this is the man for you. Even though there are exceptions, of course, there's some guys whom a lady will spend so much time with them because they're not financially viable and they'll complain and all that. And you will be that shoulder for them to cry on, you support them and all that. And when they're fine financially, they move on and marry someone else. So, ladies, we just have to be cautious. We just have to be cautious. We should be on the alert. Like, we should know we should pay attention to the signs and listen to what these guys are saying. Thank God for the internet. We can listen to guys tell us what we should be looking at when we are in a relationship, what we should be paying attention to when we are in a relationship with other guys.
Conversation with a woman, just one, and based off that interaction with a woman, know whether or not he can potentially marry her. If the answer is yes, within 6 to 9 months of you talking to this guy, he'll begin to start making preparations and doing all the things that are necessary for the wedding to take place. You've been girlfriend for 5 years. He's not even engaged you. Something is wrong. Number 2, he hasn't introduced you to his family or friends. Let me ask you something. The person that you're dating or seeing, does he have brothers or sisters? What's his best friend's name? Oh! You wouldn't know because he hasn't introduced you to them, nor does he talk to you about them. When a man has no interest in marrying, he must make sure he segregates you from his family and friends. He will do his best to avoid introducing you to his family. And if by chance, by God's grace, you so happen to meet them, he will even just rubbish the status of your relationship. This one is just my friend now. He will just rubbish it. With this one, the handwriting is written on the wall. I'd run for the Beverly Hills if I were you. Number 3, he doesn't discuss future plans with you.
About him introducing you to his family, I mean, most of the guys have already talked about this point, that if a guy wants to marry you, he will introduce you to his family, friends, acquaintances, and all that. But you should pay more attention to the language that he uses when he's introducing you to these people. Does he introduce you as a friend from high school? Does he introduce you as a colleague? Does he introduce you as just like a random friend? He should be talking to his family, to these people, introducing you to them as his girlfriend, as his partner, as his fiancé, as someone that he wants to marry. And he should be proudly confident, and he should feel so good introducing you to these people. You should pay attention to the way they introduce you to these people. So oftentimes we ignore the signs. Like I saw the other day things my boyfriend did and I stayed. Like a lady said, she had to move from one town to another to visit her boyfriend because they were in a long distance relationship. And once she got there, the boyfriend introduced her to his friends as a friend from high school. Like, come on. I have spent so much time traveling from one city to another to meet you, and all you have to do is to introduce me to your friends as a friend from high school. Come on. Ladies, we need to pay attention to these signs. These are the signs. They are always there. They are always obvious that these people don't want to take us serious. They don't want to be in a relationship with us. They don't want to marry us. They don't want to be in long-term relationship with us. So we need to pay attention, like seriously, on these things.
And he doesn't even discuss any long-term future plans with you. He doesn't ask you about your future plans or your future goals. Why? Because he doesn't care. This is why it's not only important to ask necessary questions, but to also observe behavior as well. Because if you ask questions like, where do you see this leading to? What are your intentions? And you receive no answer, always remember that no answer is an answer. For all the women out there that have a lover, boyfriend, partner, whatever you call yourselves, glory be to God. But please don't be under any illusion. Just because you have someone in your life, it does not guarantee that that person will marry you. Listen, a man can have zero intentions of marrying you whatsoever, but still keep you in his life because you serve a purpose. This is why it's so important to not give men that are not your husband wife privileges. Today, you have a boyfriend, you have a lover, right before this your eye, he'll go and marry somebody else.
Preach, brother, preach. A man can have zero intentions of marrying you, but still keep you in his life because you serve a purpose. Ladies, are you listening? Are you listening? Preach, brother, preach.
Important to not give men that are not your husband wife privileges. Today, you have a boyfriend, you have a lover, right before this your eye, he'll go and marry somebody else. He'll go and marry the person he really wants to be with. Men do not allow girlfriend or whatever it is they call themselves these days to stop them from finding their wife. So you don't allow boyfriend or whatever it is that you're in to stop you from finding your husband.
This is the simplest advice I can give you to determine if a guy that you're newly seeing is truly about you, wants to make you his girlfriend. Welcome to the Daddy Academy, okay? If you're sitting around thinking about it, if the main feelings you're getting based on his behavior is confusion, anxiety,
nervousness, uncertainty. Those aren't good feelings, okay? That means your intuition is trying to tell you something. Something is up, and you need to take that seriously, okay? Because when you're seeing somebody new and it's going really well, it should always be this positive upward trajectory. Every day things are getting a little better. You're getting a little closer. Week over week, you guys are getting closer. If you are feeling a pullback, if you're feeling uncertainty, if you're sensing some weird energy, it's probably true. You have to trust your intuition, okay? Because this is what ends up happening. You suppress the intuition, and then things go on and on and on, and you end up getting fucked over. The only person responsible for not wasting your time is you. It's not him. Can't blame him. It's you. If you have a feeling that things are just making you feel anxious, you're nervous, you don't know how, you got to bring it up, or you have to have that boundary of when you will cut things off. There's not a commitment by this time, I got to go. We'll have a conversation here, and if it doesn't go well, I got to walk. You have to be willing to walk. If you are willing to walk, you hold the power, okay? Trust your intuition. If you're feeling nervous or anxious, the guy probably isn't for you.
If you're willing to walk away, you hold the power. That's the message. I mean, do you know that you hold the power to determine your future? Do you know you hold the power to determine how the relationship is going to turn out? You hold the power. Like the other guy said, men will keep you in their lives because you serve a purpose, even though they know they don't want to be with you long term. They don't want to marry you. They will keep you in their lives. I've seen so many examples of women who talk about how there were so many guys who came into their lives. They exploited them financially because they were more financially viable and stable than the guy. The guy was always there because they could use their car. They could sleep in their houses without paying any rent. They could be with them and get money from them and date other girls, So we as ladies should know that we have the power. And when you believe that you have the power, you can walk away. You can walk away.
Ask me, how do I get a man to settle down with me? How do I get a guy to commit to me? And the first thing you got to ask yourself here is you've got to be very accountable, be critical with yourself, and ask yourself, are you worth settling down for? I'm not attacking you, but I want you to really ask yourself this question. Are you displaying the traits of a wife? Are you going out? Are you partying? Are you out and about here? Because no man is going to want to really lock down with that. No high quality guy is going to lock down with that. Are you letting him lead? Are you submissive? Are you coachable? Are you respectful? Men don't view love as love. Men view respect as love. You've got to understand this. So if the answer to this question is yes, then you've got to also understand that men have a different mechanism for settling down. Men need to feel secure and stable, and they want to really have that financial stability before they settle down with a woman. And so that clock might be different for different people. So women typically have a biological clock, while men have a financial clock. And a man can be financially stable at 25, he can be financially stable at 55. It just varies, right? And you really have to find the man that makes sense for your lifestyle. And if he's not on a path to kind of create that, then it's something that you have to be kind of cautious of. And when I mean financial stability, it doesn't mean that he has to make 8 figures, 9 figures, 7 figures. It could just mean that he's able to take care of himself and you in a very reasonable lifestyle. Moving on from there, the big thing I'll tell you is that men have to have a mindset of purpose and legacy. And these are the questions that you should be asking him in the first interactions in itself. You want to make sure that the man that you're talking to has a goal, has a purpose, and wants to leave a legacy. Okay, that's another thing. If a man has a purpose and legacy, he's going to be more likely to settle down because he wants a woman to create that legacy for him. He wants a woman to help him reach his purpose. If a woman comes into a man's life and she supports him, it's going to dramatically accelerate his growth. It's going to help him in so many ways. And a big thing I'll say on top of this is his moral and ethical values. I think a lot of men that are very religious want to settle down because it's kind of ingrained in them at a young age to find a wife and to settle down because it's positive for the community, it's positive for the culture, and it's something that they have as a life goal and a obstacle that they want to conquer. So many religious men are very, very prone to settling down at a very young age. So I think a lot of women, especially when they get to about 30 years old, they start to find out that they want to settle down and they start to become very religious because they find out that a lot of men that want to settle down are religious, and it's just how the numbers work. Let me say this. men are still settling down, men are still marrying, and especially in the Western world, men are still marrying at the same rates. They're just marrying women outside of the culture because those women are a lot more submissive, they're a lot more coachable, and they respect a man a lot more. They are raised to be wives from day one. And you hear this like passport bros and all this stuff. It really does happen. Men are willing to go overseas and find a wife and marry her and bring her back, or just live there in itself. And because they want that peace, they want that stability, they want a woman that's not gonna argue with them. And I'll tell you this, I've talked to a lot of these guys, they'll tell me like the worst days with some of the women that they meet overseas are better than the best days that they've had with their wives in the Western world. And it's crazy to hear that. I think in today's society, we're raised to kind of be argumentative. We're not raised to really adopt these traditional roles of marriage and, being partnerships. We look at partnership as a benefit for both parties, but the reality is it's a benefit for you first.
Okay, he raised very good points: purpose, value, and goals, objectives, and religion, culture, and all that. But I can't really talk about all this without pointing on the fact that he is doubling down on submissive. Like, the woman has to be submissive. Men thrive on respect, men love respect more than love, and all that. And because he leans more on religion, culture, and tradition, I can just say that, okay, because he is talking from a religious and a cultural perspective. But he has valid points, and of course, he has said so many things, and I don't know if I agree with all the things he said, but the end goal is for the man and the woman to be in a partnership that will benefit them both and make them thrive and succeed. And if a man wants to get married, it's mostly because of purpose and his legacy, and he's looking for someone to build this legacy with, and he will always be successful if he has the right partner to build this legacy and be successful with. So I made a mistake with the first part on this one, so I just want to correct it. Yeah, legacy, purpose, respect, partnership is very important in a relationship. And if a man sees this, he's gonna be more committed. And if he sees potential that the woman he's with is gonna help him build his legacy and fulfill his purpose, he's gonna be committed to the woman, and that woman will definitely be the woman he wants to marry and spend the rest of his life with, according to from a man's perspective. From a man's perspective.
Better than the best days that they've had with their wives in the Western world. And it's crazy to hear that. I think in today's society, we're raised to kind of be argumentative. We're not raised to really adopt these traditional roles of marriage and, being partnerships. We look at partnership as a benefit for both parties, but the reality is it's a benefit for you first.
I would tell women that I would marry them without fully understanding what I actually was saying. I was never actually committed in any of my relationships. I didn't have a clue to actually know how to be committed in a relationship. My awareness of what it was to actually be committed to a woman in a relationship was not there. So now I know, like, I was never in a position to even say those words. Like, yes, I would marry you. Marriage was never a possibility. And we are supposed to go in relationships to be married. Possibly, correct? So now I think about it, I sit back and think about it, I'm like, was that just a tool to prolong the relationship? To actually, so you could just do what you wanted to do?
Yeah.
And I'm like, was it? And I can say, yeah, I was just prolonging it because I didn't know what marriage was, and I wasn't ready for marriage.
You're talking to a guy and he starts talking about marriage and commitment and that he loves you very
It's, oh my God. This is what I said before, right? Like, so many people don't even understand what marriage is. So many people. So they think that because they hear a lot about marriage, that people are in a relationship or in a long-term relationship because it's going to end in marriage. You know, they go into marriage, they go into a relationship, and they start telling their partners that they want to marry them in order to just prolong the relationship. But at the end of the day, they don't understand what marriage is, and they're not ready to be married to these people that they've lied to, that they want to be married to. Why? Because of societal pressure, you know? Like, society thinks that when you get into a relationship, be it short-term or long-term, the end goal should be marriage. Like I said, there are so many beautiful relationships that are not going to end in marriage. I've said it before and I still say it now, because I used to have a friend back in the day. She had a boyfriend. That boyfriend never wanted to get married, but my friend was so desperate to get married. Like, it got to the extent that she got pregnant for this guy, but the guy wasn't really interested in getting married. And what happened? The guy ended up getting married to another girl, but not to my friend, which was just a clear example that if a guy wants to marry you, he will marry you. But if he says that he doesn't want to marry you, it's not a problem. And they had a beautiful relationship before, until she started insisting that she wants to get married to him. So he had to run away because he was not ready to get married to her. And that's just a sign that not every beautiful relationship is going to end in marriage.
I was just prolonging it because I didn't know what marriage was, and I wasn't ready for marriage.
You're talking to a guy and he starts talking about marriage and commitment and that he loves you very early on. Major red flag. Major red flag. There's situations where guys joke about that, but if he's starting to say, like, you know, I want to have kids with you, can you have my babies, like all sorts of stuff like that, like, red flag. Because this man does not know you and you do not know this man. I don't care how much time you spent with him. If you spent the whole week together, like, you don't know this guy. If it's under 3 months and he starts saying these things and he starts dropping the L word, like, you gotta be careful, because a lot of times what's happening is that he's very, very caught up in that lustful process. It may be him love bombing you. There's a lot of things that can go into this, but he does not have enough information to make an educated decision on whether you need to be in the rest of his life. And if he is saying these things with true intention, like, that's a huge red flag, because if he's acting on that lust in that honeymoon phase to create the rest of his life, this man is very impulsive. He has no analytic process. Like, I mean, it's a very dangerous thing to jump yourself into. So when a man is very aggressive in the beginning and, you know, he's kind of pushing you for that commitment right off the rip, like, that's something you really have to be careful of. I know it sounds good and I know it might sound amazing and you might feel like you have something special, but the relationships that start off fiery and hot often end up burning down in flames.
That a relationship can start up fiery and all that and then ends up burning down in flames. Where's the lie? Where's the lie? You know? But they say the guys have to be the ones who are pushing in the beginning, who are pushing for commitment, who are pushing for the relationship to be more serious and all that. But then they still say this is a red flag. So what do? What should we pay attention to?
Very aggressive in the beginning and, you know, he's kind of pushing you for that commitment right off the rip, like, that's something you really have to be careful of. I know it sounds good and I know it might sound amazing and you might feel like you have something special, but the relationships that start off fiery and hot often end up burning down in flames.
Ladies, if you really want to know if a guy really into you or if he's just trying to do something, watch out for these things. I'm giving out the tea right here. You know what I'm saying? All you gotta do is pick up the cup. Let's go. First and foremost, if a dude really trying to be with you, he gonna be cautious on what he doing. So therefore, he not gonna break your boundaries because he gonna respect your boundaries, if you know what I'm saying. He not finna just be touching on you or saying these type of things because he want to be cautious. He don't want to mess it up. You know what I'm saying? But if he trying to shoot game and he trying to see like what he can get away with, what he can't, oh yeah, you go, it's gonna be noticeable. You know what I'm saying? Bro gon' like, hey, I'm finna fight you. He might be punching on you sometime. You know what I'm saying? He might grab your hands and like play with your veins or like grab your waist, like little things, because it's a test. You feel me? It's a whole test. You either gonna be like, nah, bro, I ain't with that, or you gonna let it slide and that's the green light for him. I'm trying to tell you. So if he wants you for real, he not gonna break them boundaries. But if he just trying to get in.
Tiden flyver, når eventyr begynder. Og når du har verden for dine fødder. Når alt det kedelige er gjort nemt. Og når det sjove trækker ud. Tiden flyver, når du helst ikke vil have det. Og før du ved af det, er du hjemme igen.
We select only the 1% of beans with zero defects. Quality loves details.
He gonna do what he gotta do.
Hey, what's going on, y'all? Here are 4 signs that a man is serious about you. Number 1, he praises you. He gives you compliments, texts you throughout the day, checks up on you. He's interested in you. Number 2, he wants to provide for you. He gives you his best. He provides money. He provides care.
Ladies, we need to pay attention to these, the praises. Sometimes the praises could be overwhelming, and if he's doing it too much, then that's a red flag. Because sometimes some guys believe that women like praises, women love praises, and they want to give you too many or too much in order to get you fall for them as quick as possible so they can get done with you and ghost you and dump you. So we need to be cautious. Like I keep saying, we need to be cautious as ladies, because praises is good. We love to get praises, but it shouldn't be way too much. If you know what I mean, it shouldn't be too much.
Throughout the day, checks up on you. He's interested in you. Number 2, he wants to provide for you. He gives you his best. He provides money. He provides care. He provides love. He's there for you. Number 3, he protects you. He asks, how was your day? He seeks to make sure that you're safe and sound. Picks you up from work if he can. Stays on the phone with you to make sure you get home. He protects you. And here's the big one, number 4. He proclaims you. A man who is serious about you wants to show you off. Posts you on his social media, brings you around his friends and his family. If you're a secret, he's not serious.
He proclaims you. Yeah. He needs to show you to his family and friends, and the language he uses. Ladies, always remember how he introduces you to these people. Does he introduce you as a friend from high school, an acquaintance, a colleague, or he introduces you as meet my girl, or meet my fiance, meet the woman of my dreams? You know, when the guy wants you, he wants to be exclusive with you, he's going to be so proud to tell people that you are his girl. He's not going to be trying to hide you or to not claim you in public.
Ladies, I'm going to be honest with you, and I'm probably breaking bro code by even sharing this, but I have to be honest. As a man, I'm speaking as a man here, we know very early on, what our intentions are for you. That means after date 1, date 2, we know if you're wife material, girlfriend material, and we're hunters. So we go after what we want. We will not waste time. If we want you, we will do what we have to do to get you, to have you. Because we're men, that's what we do. If he's stringing you along, ladies, if it's been months and he hasn't committed to you, he's not calling you his girlfriend, or if it's been years and he hasn't proposed to you, it's because he doesn't want you like that. I'm telling you right now, do not waste your time on men like that, because we will do whatever you allow us to do. And if you allow us to string you along, to play with you, that's exactly what we will do. So if you want a future, if you want a family, then you need to date men who have good intentions for you, who want the same things, who have the same values, because once again, we will play with you if you let us play with you.
We will play with you if you want to let us play with you. It all goes back to the point that a man can keep you in his life as a placeholder. If you let them do it, they will keep you there. And once they're done with you, they'll move on to what they actually want.